even want to think about this one. We have the flange already. That comes like this. But we have to make the rest. Okay, so it's time to start working on this panel here, and I already made this template which I'm gonna use to cut a piece of sheet metal. So it doesn't need to be perfect, but at least this side I want to be matching this shape here. So here, of course, we're gonna need to make a flange. So when we cut the piece of metal, we're gonna make it half an inch longer than where this end is. And also here I made it long enough, hopefully long enough, that after we bend it, we're gonna have to English weave it and all kind of stuff here. It's gonna meet that other flange, which is here. Okay, so here is the piece of metal. Now, of course, we can't fit it there because it is flat. So we need to start bending it here, but I need to find the line where we're gonna start the bend, because here you see from here to here, it is more or less flat. After this here, it starts curving out. So I'm gonna take the template and I'm gonna shorten it. I'm gonna cut it somewhere here to represent this line. Okay, so this matches this flange on the outside, and you can see that this piece is more or less flat. What we need to modify on this piece is the part after this line. You see? So we're gonna draw this line here, and we're gonna start bending this way and also this way. This way it's not much, but this way it's a lot. It's dark outside. I think it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Alright, so it's the end of the night and Nicola ground all this, but as he was grinding, he made a little bit of boo-boo here. So he need to actually make a patch over his ground part, because he overground it and he went too far. Here you have a hole that you have to weld, I think. Maybe it's not a hole, I don't know. So anyways, in the meantime, as he was doing this patch, I made this. I showed you in a time-lapse mode how I did that. So it's halfway, it won't fit yet. We need to give it the shape of this flange here. It needs to go curved and whatever. Here, this needs to be trimmed because it's too long. So anyways, that's where we're gonna stop though, because it's dark outside and it's spooky. Even Rusty doesn't want to go out. So we're gonna end it here. Nicole is going to his mom for 3-4 days, and then when he comes back, we're gonna continue. For us, it's gonna be 3-4 days. For you, it's gonna be like Okay, so this is pretty close to what we want. Unfortunately, we can't fit it as it is. We need to trim here a little bit so we can fit it there, but you can see that what we said is pretty much flat is still pretty much flat. And then from there we start curving. So let's see what it's gonna look like on the car. So yeah. I need to put it from above like that, but this here is in my way, so let's trim it a little bit. Make sure that we leave enough material to trim it more after to meet this flange here that's gonna come. Let me cut that. Okay, so now it's almost there. Well, first of all, we have to get rid of this here, like that. So now this corner there matches, but here we have to push it this way a lot more, because now the flange in the back I can feel it is somewhere here. You see where it is? It is somewhere here. So the whole thing needs to twist this way, but we have a lot of material here. Actually, here I have room to push it in, but here I don't, because this is hitting. So if you come on the other side, you can see it doesn't need to be shortened, it actually needs to be bent more. Okay, I'm holding it with my foot now. So here it needs to curve more so it can come this way and this way. You know what I mean? So to curve this more, we will need to shrink more here and then bend it, because now if we just bend it here, that's gonna push this out. You know what I mean? Okay, so now this flange is actually almost matching. Like everywhere the piece is even with the flange, but the flange on the back also has a shape like this. Like you can see it from behind here, right? So we have a straight flange. So now we have to bend this on the shrinker stretcher. We need to shrink it here a little bit so we can give it shape like that. And here we need to stretch it so we give it shape like that, because that's the shape of the rear flange. And also here it needs to go a little bit lower, as you can see, probably half an inch lower, but now it's binding right here. We can't go lower, but bending that flange like this and shrinking a little bit more here is gonna bend the whole piece a little bit, right? That's what we need to give it this shape as well. So this is gonna move backwards, and as we're shrinking it also here in the corner, we're gonna bend it more this way. It needs to bend more, and hopefully that's gonna allow it to go down. So you see how it's curving here. Now if we can do the same here, so this is pretty much, I marked more or less where the peak of the bend needs to be. So here we need to shrink, and hopefully that's gonna bend the whole piece. See, it gives it this shape a little, and here we need to stretch. I marked where the other curve is, because the flange inside goes like this and then like this. Okay, so this is pretty close now. The problem is though, it is touching right there inside, and it is rocking. I want the whole piece to go more so it can touch here, but it's touching right here. So that part is the one that I told you that I have no idea why there's this step here, but that's how it was on the other side, and this piece comes out and then it goes back in. So I think I'm gonna modify that. Also here doesn't need to go out and then go in. We can make it go all the way here. This means that this flange is gonna stick out a little bit. It's not gonna be parallel with our flange. I can draw a line. Maybe we can do something like that. And then we can trim that because we don't need it. And this here, I will see now if I can bend it in a different place so we can go in, and it will allow our piece to go further in. Something like that. So that fits better here now. And this I rebend, like I straightened it and I bent it in a different place. So now there's no step. So now when it goes like this here is much better. We still need to straighten a little bit here. So like we need to open it now because it's too closed, and down there it's not touching. So here in this area we can English wheel our piece so it can rise a little bit and touch the flange. But down there also, I don't know if you see in the dark, no, I don't think you see. Down there we also need to open here a little bit the curve that we made so it can go and touch the whole flange. Okay, that actually looks much better now. We need to rise a little bit more here, but all the way down there it's pretty close, and here it's close. But here the whole piece, even though we removed that step, still the whole piece from here up needs to curve this way a little bit. Like we curved it here before and then I straightened it, but now I'm thinking we have to curve it again, and from here give it that curve, so it's reversed curve to that. Yeah, because it's hitting the back right here. Even though we removed the step, it's still hitting right here. Anyway, I'm gonna stretch a little bit more here. I'm gonna stretch actually this flange too to give it this curve. Okay, so it required a little bit of hammering. So I hammered it here because I kept wire wheeling it and didn't raise enough. So finally I took a hammer and just beat it to submission here, and now it fits well. I also ran it on the English wheel after here too. Now it is pretty good. So that's where we're gonna leave it, I mean shape wise. But now we have to add this flange to it, so we have to figure out a way now to put this flange there, mark a line here and cut this to match our flange. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna take the patch off, I'm gonna put the flange in, and then we're gonna put the patch inside. I'm hoping that there's gonna be enough room here. Okay, so the two parts are inside together, except this one doesn't want to go in, and it needs just a little bit more. You see, it is hitting the flange here, so it needs to move a little bit further this way, this part, but it's hitting right here, you see. So I'm gonna start cutting it now with the cutting wheel right here, so the two parts can match. And even if this comes out more, we're gonna bend it and to meet this one, but they're coming together. Also here at the end, you see they are pretty well matching here, but here they're overlapping in the other end. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck them here. Once this goes in, then we can tuck the two parts here, even though they're overlapping, and we can tuck them here, and then when we take them out, we're gonna cut one or both and make their butts meet, you know what I mean? And then we're gonna weld them. So let me start cutting this. Okay, there's like 1,000 clamps here, holding them together, but I think the two pieces match each other pretty well now, especially at least here. So now we're gonna tuck it here. I'm gonna start tucking it here, and we're gonna keep cutting. I'm gonna have to remove this clamp at some point. We're gonna keep cutting. We're gonna have to bend this flange a little bit in so it can match with this piece, and we can tuck it in multiple places. And then here I showed you more or less what we're gonna do now. It's dark, so we can tuck it, and then we can remove the two pieces and weld them outside of the car. I tucked it here just temporarily because it was coming apart, so now I'm gonna have to cut this, but that's easy. So yeah, getting there. Okay, we tucked it in a few places. It's staying there even without clamps, almost. Okay, now it's without clamps because of this tuck here. So let's cut it, take it out. Okay, so this is what it looks like taking off the car. So here they don't match perfectly, but now we're gonna do a few more tucks as it is overlapped, and then we're gonna start from one end, cutting, welding, cutting, welding, cutting, welding, a little bit at a time, and at the end we're gonna have two perfectly matching each other pieces that are tucked together. Okay, so Nick welded it and we put it back together here, and he trimmed it here and there so it can be welded easily. So if you remember, these two overlap here by 2-3 inches. I don't know why, but we're gonna do it the same way. But if they overlap all the way to here, it's gonna be super hard to weld it. That's why we trimmed it here to match the shape of this. So this we're gonna weld on the outside, and here of course we're gonna line it up better. Now it is a little bit misaligned, and then the rest from here we're gonna weld in full like this. So also at the bottom, let me take it out now, we trimmed this flange that was extended here, and the other piece we bent down, so that's how it's gonna be here. And yeah, so now we're gonna take it out. Nick is gonna grind it nicely here because this is where the fender, the outer fender comes, and we don't want the weld to poke through our paintwork. Once he grinds it, then he's gonna paint the back, and we're gonna paint inside, and we're gonna start stacking it here. The only places where I think we're gonna do plug welds is here. We're gonna do 3-4 plug welds here. Here there was plug welds before, but actually we can do spot welds here now if we want to, or we can just weld the flange here and there, and that's gonna be it. Once that is done, we can take out the rocker. It's tucked here. I tucked it before in place because I couldn't clamp it properly. So now we can take it out and prep it for welding. All right, so the whole piece is ground down, and Nick painted the back. So that's what it looks like. There it is painted already. So we're just gonna put it on. I don't think we're gonna do plug welds. We're gonna weld it here like we said, and we're gonna weld here. Just gonna do a few welds where they overlap and a few welds here, and that's gonna be it. But that's gonna happen in the next video because that's how far we went that day and we haven't done any work since then. But as you can see, most of the rust is now removed from the car and we're just adding solid metal. There's little rusted areas like the bottom of the doors and things like that, and we're gonna have to make some patches there as well, but nothing major. So Nicola decided to remove the paint. That's how he's gonna remove the paint from the entire car. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for commenting and subscribing and sharing, and we're gonna see you in the next video. Bye.